Kerrie, what's up?
Hello.
Hey. Well, welcome to Wednesday, Hump Day, Cooped Up Live, should I say, my daily-ish broadcast where I just talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. While we are waiting on folks to join Cooped Up, my website, you can check that out at any time. I don't post very often, but when I do, you'll want to see it. Kerrie doesn't have a website, so you don't have to worry about hers. I'm Cooped Up is my handle in all of the social places. Would love a follow wherever you are, particularly if you're on the Instagrams. Kerrie is Food Sparks at Food Sparks in most places. She's got her stuff locked down though, so you'll have to request a little follow. And then wherever you watch or listen to this, it is on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and then rebroadcast in audio format on all the major podcasting platforms. Be sure to click the bell, subscribe button, whatever it is, so that you do not miss a second of the fun. Hey, Mama, how you doing? She always does two waves when you're also on.
Oh, she does? Oh, I never realized that. Because, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Hey, Mama Cooper.
Hey.
Hello.
So as you can see, I am repping the Barbie movie today. I am maybe not unexpectedly, that's not the right word. I am surprisingly excited about this movie coming out.
I do want to
Because
see it.
so when it and here's what I don't get, and I'll come back to the excitement part. It releases on like July 21st or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that not a weird summer release date to you, or is
It's a
that like
late one. It's a late
it is
release for
right?
sure.
You would think that they would do it like so that it's a full summer, but maybe the strategy is wait for everyone to be exhausted by all the other things, and it's too hot, and then you want to come inside and see the movie. I don't
Well,
know.
they choose it like artists choose the album weekends. They dodge the other. So right now, Guardians of the Galaxy is taking over everything.
Yeah,
And what's
Little
the other
Mermaid
movie?
before
Oh,
that.
Fast 10 is out.
Little Mermaid before,
So yeah,
probably.
they probably timed it based on other things coming out.
Hey Eric, how you doing?
Hi, Eric. I haven't seen you in a long
But I'm
time.
excited because I've watched a couple of previews for it, and I've read a couple of things about it, and it is actually a more serious movie than it's not just her being Barbie walking around like being Barbie. Like it addresses actual like there's some messages in it, and I'm not a big message movie person, but I like a little bit of that. They make fun of themselves, but not to the point where it's ridiculous, because it has so many stars in it. But
Yeah,
my worry always when a movie has so many stars in it is was it more fun to make or is it more fun to watch?
right.
And I think this one will be fine. I have read criticism that they think that the casting of Jake or what's his name?
Ryan
And yeah, what's his
Gosling?
name? Yeah,
Ryan
Ryan
Gosling?
Gosling. That he's too old to be Ken, and that Margot Robbie is too old to be Barbie.
I mean, it's kind of true, but yeah.
Yeah, um, but then it reminded me. We were talking about it at the office this morning. It reminded me of just a little fun fact that I know, and I have no idea why I know this. But do you know Barbie's real name? Do you know her full name?
Oh, it's I knew it. Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
Barbara Millicent Roberts.
Yes, Millicent. Yeah.
Yes. And I have no idea why I know that, but I've always known that my whole life. And I
I
looked
watched the Barbie documentary like before COVID.
oh, really?
Yeah.
And then I looked up Ken's today because I never even thought that Ken had a last name until today. And it's Ken Sean Carson. So Ken Carson is his name. Same as my mom and my little brother, actually.
That's funny.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yes.
But I'm excited about the movie. I'm loving all of the brand collaborations that are part of it, like
Yeah.
Ruggable, and also, although I like it better when it's not just Barbie written on it. Like if it's like
Yeah.
more like inspired by it, but still, like there's so many things that are like doing brand collaborations with it.
So the Tumbleweed Textiles guys, you know, the shirts, they do a hat and a shirt, but it's written out Texas Babe in the same Barbie writing. So I
Oh,
bet they're selling a ton of those. Yeah.
I bet that's funny. This is from Gap, and it sold out already. It sold out like 2 days after they released it.
You got it right away.
I
Yeah.
did. I was like, I was almost not going to. I was like, but it's cute and it's funny, but and it's obviously in the Gap, Gap font and all of that. The way
Yeah.
they normally do that.
That is true.
Yeah. And so, but then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And then I went back like the next day and it was sold out. So it was excellent. Sandy is saying she's also excited about the Barbie movie. I just think it's going to be interesting because there's like in the preview, there's one thing where she's like dancing and she's like, and it's always life is great. Life is wonderful. There's nothing wrong with life. And it's like, any of you ever think about what happens after you die? And I'm like, something like that.
Like Barbie, that's kind of
like she has like an awakening of some sort. So anyway,
okay, that's
I'm excited about it. So, but
I want to see it. I will go with you if you want to see it.
Yes, we still haven't gone to see. What have we not gone to see?
Whitney, it's on Netflix now.
No, I saw Whitney. I went to the preview.
Oh, you did. That's right. I was gone. I was in England.
There was something else recently that came out, and I was in Mexico, and we were going to wait to go see it.
What was it?
And we haven't gone to see it. But what movie has recently come out that we wanted to see together? And I can't think of it. But there was another movie that came out that you were like, I'll go see it. You're like, because I was out of town, and you're like, I want to see it. But then we didn't. I don't remember what it was. It'll come the minute I sign off. It'll come to me. The big news of the day. Let's just talk about this Titanic sub thing, y'all.
I'm obsessed.
I am just shocked at the amount of misinformation that's already out there. That people like so someone's like, I read somewhere that they might be trapped inside the Titanic. They're not. I know. Like, no. They're not even allowed to go touch it or be in it. Like that is reserved for.
They didn't motor into it. Yeah.
No, and it's too small anyway. Like you can't just like go in your sub. They can. There's submersible like tethered things, but they can't do it. They're not. Because it's not like a scientific mission, even though they are doing some water DNA stuff, they are only allowed to go look at it and be somewhat near it. They're not allowed to be in it, on it, touch it, anything. So Mike is saying that was actually on the news yesterday. Yeah, it's wrong. They are not allowed. I was reading the Wall Street Journal.
Fox News.
The Wall Street Journal had an article this morning that debunked a lot of those things, and then I'm starting to see some people like, how much are we spending to rescue these billionaires and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I just did that on my Instagram. I just did it because I'm like,
how much money did we spend? How much money did we spend to rescue those American hikers who wandered into Iran and got kidnapped?
Yeah, but they weren't millionaires and billionaires paying to go down to get a look-see of the Titanic. I think there's a difference.
Well, I disagree. Bad decision's a bad decision.
Well, here's my thing. What I put on my Instagram just a little bit ago. I know you haven't seen it, but I was like, this company, I forget the name of it, something Ocean whatever,
or something like that.
Yeah. So here's my thing. You have all this money, you sign up, whatever. The guy piloting it, owns the company, great. That French guy has actually been on 33 dives to the Titanic, so unmanned, right? So there had to be a form that they signed their life away. You know, we say that all the time as a joke, like, oh, you're gonna go jump out of a plane, you're gonna sign your life away. So at what point does that form come into play for the company? And the company exhausting, like what provisions were on whatever they signed that the company said, we will do X, Y, and Z at these points if you don't return, right? And then so that at what point does the company throw their hands up and go, we need help? And then who's going to pay for that help?
Yeah. Well, the contract is surfaced. Wall Street Journal talked about it just a couple of hours ago.
Nice.
That it says I think it's at least 5 times, you may die. You might die. There's a possibility of death, all this kind of stuff, right? I don't know if it goes into rescue stuff, but it definitely says you're going to die. Because I know, like, even when I got fucking LASIK, I had to write in my own handwriting on the document, I am aware that I may go blind. Like, that's how lawyered up they were, just about LASIK.
Yeah. So that's my thing is like we are involving our military, our Coast Guard, the French government's involved. There's many outside companies.
We did the same thing to get pot smoking Brittany Griner out of Russia. We did the same thing to get these pot smoking. There's something wrong with pot, but just bad decisions when you're in Russia. Bad decision to hike into Iran. Like this, we do this all the time, and the only difference is that these people are billionaires.
Well, but then so that was my question. Will there be retribution? Since they are billionaires and they chose to do this, whether they make it out, are they going to pay back, or whether the families or are these companies going to now sue the families?
Who knows how much the family's already paying? They're billionaires.
So, I mean, maybe. Do people really throw money up on the line until they have to? I don't know.
Well, and it could be, I mean, if you really hated your husband, it could be like, hey, let's see what happens.
So that's what my coworker said. She goes, this guy from England, this Hamish guy, she goes, no, he was talked into this. She's like, he already loves to go and do these things. She's like, there's a conspiracy theory that's going to come out. Somebody was like, yeah, go do this. Go do this. Is he
the one that also did Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin?
Yes, and he also did the rocket, Elon Musk's rocket, right?
No, he did the Jeff Bezos.
Oh, one. Jeff Bezos, yeah. And then he also did something else, some other Voyager thing he's done. Yeah.
So obviously he's got he's an adrenaline junkie.
He's like another Branson. Yeah, another Richard Branson. Yeah.
And then there's the Pakistani billionaire with his 19-year-old son.
And I'm gonna bring my son.
I know.
What 19-year-old is like, yeah, sure, let's go.
I know. Well, you just think you're invincible, I guess, at that point. I mean, when you're that much, not age, the money part of it.
Yeah.
And then there are people that are coming forward saying, we warned them about safety issues and all that. I've read about that now. And it's basically one employee who's super disgruntled, like was giving up trade, like all kinds of crazy stuff. And then the second one is an employee who also worked there at the same time, who probably had a desk next to that person, and they just the whole time. So
when this shit happened, they texting each other. Now's our time.
This thing has gone up and down a bunch of times. There's been other people coming forward saying, "Yeah, I did it last year, and it was great." And I actually fell asleep on the way down. It was so calm.
So there are people that have gone out on it in these test runs or whatever. But have they gone that deep?
They've gone to the Titanic. This is not the first time they've ever done it.
Monica, it's 12,900 feet, so roughly 13,000, right? Isn't that the?
Yeah. And then Todd had a point. He was like, "Why is it so hard? Why is the search area so big? Because the search area is like the size of Connecticut, right?
Because of the currents."
Yes, the currents, and also I don't think they can take the ship directly over the Titanic and just drop straight down. I think what they do is they go out and then they start lowering it, and then it goes like into the it propels itself somewhat too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just a straight dive. Have you seen though the PlayStation remote control that they use to control
$30? That's what I said yesterday on Instagram. I'm like,
does Logitech? Wouldn't it be?
I was like, did somebody take batteries down there?
We just told me. Wouldn't this be terrible if this was just someone forgot the AA batteries?
Like they ran out. I swear to God, they were new when I put them in there today. I would have taken an extra set.
Mason goes through those AA batteries. I've actually started to hide the batteries in the house. They're hidden in under the sink in the bathroom here in my office, because he was coming and just ravaging it, and there would be batteries all over the place in the family room where he plays his Fortnite and stuff, and he was not keeping track of. He had the box of batteries open because he's a fucking teenage boy. Box of batteries open, would put the old ones in with the new ones.
Oh God!
You never knew if you were getting a flaccid battery or firm battery, like whatever. And I was just done with it. And so now I'm like, so for his birthday earlier this month, one of his requests was a 50 pack of batteries. So
why didn't he just get the USB charge controller?
Oh, because that would involve him remembering that too.
No, get the one he can charge up, and then he'd have to remember to charge it. But
yeah, that's the thing. You have to remember to charge it. And not all of them are USB chargeable either. And he can't get rechargeable batteries because then you have to remember to recharge the batteries. Also, have you ever used rechargeable batteries that actually fucking work? I have not. I
have not used a rechargeable battery since digital cameras became a thing back in 2000, 2001. And I bought a set for my digital camera. That's the only time I have ever used rechargeable batteries.
They don't work. They end up blowing up. You plug them in and you forget about them, and then they leak in the device thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will say on the Titanic thing, Some of the jokes I don't like that people are making, and I know it's normal to make jokes, and I'm a jokey person. Some of them are kind of funny. Like there was one I saw of it was supposedly 12,000 bottles of wine were lost in the Titanic, and there's this lady on this motor scooter thing under the water going down to get them or whatever. And so stuff like that is funny. But then there's other stuff. I saw one that was it was a little too on the nose. It was come 7 a.m. tomorrow, this is what those people are going to see. And it's that scene from Titanic where everyone's greeting them going back up.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
I'm that's a little tasteless.
So my coworker and I just had this whole riff, speaking of, because we start this riff and then we get into what happens of this and this. So we're talking about the memorial service for these people. She's like, picture it, Celine Dion.
Oh,
and I'm like, that bitch comes and sings for this and says something for her Vegas concert.
That's the movie. The Celine Dion movie. That's the one we were just talking about.
I was like, no, she cannot. And she'll be doing a second rendition like Elton did for Diana. I'm like, no. And my coworker also called it because I read an article where they said this thing's the size of a minivan. So she's like, what in the Kia del Sol Odyssey of the Sea, riffing on Carnival Cruise Lines, bullshit are we into? And I was like, exactly.
Have you seen how they sit in this thing?
Yes, that's what I said. I was like, oh my God, no.
Facing each other. But the people have said it's not claustrophobic at all. I'm like, there's no way you're getting my legs sitting in front of me with somebody else's legs next to them. And
they literally have a window. Have they said how wide that window is? It doesn't look very wide. And then there's a TV at the back.
The control TV thing. Eric's saying those passengers being savaged on my social media. I will say that my liberal friends have been the tackiest of them all. The ones who are
I've been tacky.
And also they're the ones these people, rich people, they just go off and do things and they don't deserve to live, and the bad choices and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, for real. And again, I go back to how much money do we spend to rescue Brittany Griner? Did we trade prisoners? We sent a private jet over, all these types of things. How much did we do? How many? I mean, and I'm sure if I think about it, I can think of 10 other examples of America alone spending a ton of money to rescue people from their terrible ideas.
But I just equate this whole hashtag America. I equate this to the equivalent of they spent the money and did this because they can. It's the same thing with people going, yeah, I deserve to have an AR-15 because I can. And Second Amendment, it's the same. Whatever side you're on, this is the same damn thing. I'm going to go do this because I can. And I have this money. The people that want to go to outer space. Lance Bass was one of the original people to sign up for that. And it's millions of dollars going to do that. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of as with anything, you get what you get. It's not because they're rich. Because they're rich is me asking, who's going to pay back the U.S. government for this? Who's going to foot the bill? That's my question. Yeah.
Well, and they do water rescues all the time for things too. They're just not at the bottom of the sea, but that sort of thing too. So there's already plus. I mean, the boat's already owned. The people are already on it. It's not they mobilized a ship that didn't exist before with all these sailors that weren't enlisted before and all that stuff. I mean, it's really just gas and maintenance.
And there's only three. I think there's only 3 craft that can actually make that endeavor down that far. And it's not like the U.S. military can jump in and do anything, but they are doing all the scouting from the
Good
sky
point,
and all that.
Eric. How much money did the government spend searching for and retrieving John and his wife?
But he was the president's son. I mean, his dad served the country.
Yeah. So his dad did.
I know, but the family automatically gets.
Yeah, I guess. I just think that there's a lot of false equivalents that go around on things like this. So
there are, but it's all going to come down to these people paid a shit ton of money, and they're privileged is what it comes down to. It comes down to the fact that these are privileged people that made a choice, and should we support?
How much money do they donate to good causes? How much money? How many hospitals have been built in Pakistan because this billionaire has all this money? How much? And who knows? Maybe they have an epiphany while they're down there and come out. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to give away or most billionaires nowadays have started to sign, or many have started to sign on to these pledges, like the Bill Gates and Warren Buffett saying, I'm going to give away 90% of my money. I'm only going to let my family keep 10% because there's absolutely no reason that they need as much money as we have. So that, I mean,
who knows?
Society maybe to keep these people around a little bit longer.
It's fascinating. Chris is asking, is the POW home yet? No. And I had an opinion about that too during the Brittany Griner stuff. They were trying to bring them home together, remember? And that didn't happen.
But that's also a false equivalent because it was different things, all of that. And even that POW's family said the right choice was made. Like, get the one you can, right?
I know, but that had to suck.
I know. That's just one of those things that gets people outraged, and they're like, well, if they do it, then I can do it, that kind of thing. So anyway. Did you end up
moving on from the Kia del Sol Odyssey of the Seas?
So this actually is a good seg. I don't know if you've watched it yet or at all, but have you watched any Black Mirror at all?
No, you were telling me about it last night, and I need to watch it because I only want to watch the episode you told me to. I'm not interested in the whole thing.
So there's a couple. So I've only seen a few episodes, and some of them I've been like, so almost all the ones that I've seen have made me think like, wow, that's crazy. And the reason I don't like the show generally is it's just dark. It's like so dystopian, and I'm not real big in dystopian stuff. And it's largely about how technology is going to be the end of all of us at some point, that kind of thing, and how it goes awry. But so season 6 just released.
Which I'd never heard of it until now.
Which shocks me. You were Miss FOMO. You know everything about every trend, everything. Like when you said that, I'm like,
yeah. Although I've largely strayed from Netflix in the last few years. I've been more of an HBO watcher and Hulu.
But it's so in like when it comes out, people are talking about it, all that kind of stuff. So the new one, there's the first episode. So the premise of Black Mirror, if y'all have not seen it, is they have like an ensemble cast for an entire season. For the most part, every episode has the same actors in it, but the stories themselves are not connected in any way to each other. There may be little Easter eggs, like walking past a coffee shop that one of the other episodes had in it or something like that. But other than that, there's no connection. You do not have to see one episode to understand another episode at all. And in this season, some of the stars are Selma Hayek is one of them. Annie, she played Alexis on Schitt's Creek. Annie.
She's the one in the one we were talking about.
They're in all of them. She'll be in too, or some of them. They're maybe not in every single one of them. But this one is called Joan. It's called Joan is Awful.
Yeah,
and it is fascinating. And I have seen, and here's the other thing is you get to the end and then you're like, oh, well, that's not at all what I thought was happening. So don't give up on it because the episode, I had some people say, oh, I didn't like it. So I fast forwarded or whatever. I was like, you missed the whole fucking point of it then.
Yeah.
There's another one from a previous season where, do you know those Boston, is it Boston Dynamics, Boston Electronics, or those dogs the electronic dogs that like this? So they
have the Super Bowl commercials last year or year before.
And you see them randomly on video or on like YouTube videos and such. Well, they have one that features those dogs hunting a woman. And she's trying, and it's in German and it's in black and white. So it's very like esoteric and all this kind of stuff. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying. It's about coming for you. So the Beyond the Sea episode is great. And I also like the demon ones.
Demons? I can't do demons at all.
I don't know enough of it. Todd watches it and I just kind of flit in and out of the room.
I can't do anything that's demonic or shape-shifting or
really?
Well, some shape-shifting if it's native, because I understand that. Like growing up in Oklahoma, I know what that is. But like demonic, here's a perfect example. Do you remember the movie with Devil's Advocate with who's the guy in all the Godfather? Not Pacino. Remember Pacino and I can't remember the lead guy. Was it Matthew McConaughey?
Maybe.
Was the lawyer?
Yeah.
And then his wife was anyway. Do you remember the part where his wife was being introduced to the town by all the other ladies and trying to be brought into the fold? And that older lady with the blonde hair, I can't remember her name, actress, she's really great. They were in a store and they were getting dressed and changing clothes. And there's a moment where the gal is putting something over her head and she turns and looks at her and her face turns into a demonic devil. That shit fucked me up for years. I can't watch that movie. I have to look away because I was like, oh my God, did you see that? Like we in college, we were like, rewind it. We must have rewound it like 5 times. And I was like, good God, that's awful. Like, but just movies that have a lot of that, I can't. And then super paranormal. I can't do paranormal stuff.
So my experience with Black Mirror is it's not a lot of paranormal stuff. There's more like there's an episode where in the future there is like a dating app or something, and it's speed dating on like steroids. Like you sit down with them and boop, and it tells you like you're going to spend 5 minutes with this person or 5 years with this person or 50 years with this person. And I don't know if it's contracted. I don't remember the specifics, but you are required to do that regardless of what you think about that person based on the app. And so there's kind of stuff like that. There's one that's kind of like Groundhog Day, like where they start over and over and over again every day, they try to change
that would drive me crazy
of it, that sort of thing. So
I'm gonna watch that one episode just to tell you what I think, because that one intrigued me.
Yeah, it's good, and it is very. The end though, you have to put your kind of thinking hat on and be like, what are they actually saying? Not because you can't understand it, but because it's so kind of deep, and it's also Salma Hayek. She has a line in it, and this doesn't spoil anything. It's just a funny line where she's yelling at her attorney for not knowing something, and she goes, what did she say? I'm an actress. I'm an actress and blah 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 with questionable English. This is why I pay you. Like, it's hilarious. And it's funny the stuff that she is in. She's not one of my favorite actresses. I feel like she's too. It's the same reason that I'm not like a Pink fan, the musician. It's like everything has to be a fucking message, right? Like everything has to be having.
Well, and she's always in quirky movies too. She plays the weirdest parts in quirky movies.
But do you know who her husband is?
I can't remember, but
the world's richest man.
Yeah. He's
the Louis Vuitton Moet Chandon.
Yeah, the guy that owns.
Who just gave $1 billion to restore Notre Dame. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Suzanne Gentry is saying she's going to Martha's restaurant on Saturday. Can't wait to try that bread basket. Yes. So she was texting me the other day. It's like, what did you eat? And I was like, all I can remember is the bread.
Here's a tip, Suzanne. The first time we went gangbusters.
Twice. We were only there 2 nights and we went twice.
Well, here's the thing. We got the chicken. So they're known for the chicken. The chicken is delicious, but share it with your whoever's going with you. Because we went gangbusters because everything looked so good, but that bread was so damn delicious. We were so full. By the time everything came, we wasted so much food, and we spent, what was that first tab? 300 plus?
Yeah, and we couldn't take it with us because we were going to RuPaul's Drag Race right afterwards.
Yes, so don't just trust us. Just literally, you can get the bread basket, you can share a salad and share that chicken, and you will be fine. Yeah. You will be fine.
And you can always order more if you're still hungry.
Yes, or dessert trust or whatever. Us. Like, you're going to want to eat all of that bread, and it's about the bread. So even the second time we went, we just got salads and an appetizer and had the bread.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing is, do not do the macaroni and cheese. It is not worth it. It was not worth it. It wasn't bad. It was just, it was like, that is one of those dishes. If I'm spending a lot of money on macaroni and cheese, like I want to be able to I want it to be so good that I want to put it on my face. Like I want to
bathe in it.
Yes.
Yeah. I want there to be the crusty cheese, and it was a melty, cheesy mac and cheese, but it wasn't like a mac and cheese casserole.
I want it to be like a casserole. I want it to be like boily on top, and
with the hard crusty bits. And
yes. And it wasn't that.
Yeah.
No.
But the Brussels sprouts, we both agreed were fan-freaking-tastic. And if we were going to take anything off the table, it was going to be the Brussels sprouts, but we didn't take anything. Don't get the stuffed chicken because it is delicious, but it's a whole half chicken stuffed with I can't remember. It's like a breading. It's like stuffing. Share it if you're going with your husband or your partner or whatever.
He's going with a BFF British mom friend.
Yes, get the chicken, get an app or share a Caesar salad. The Caesar salad's delicious.
So the
order the damn bread basket.
I don't remember getting the artichokes.
No, but they did look good. Yeah, get that and get the chicken and be done. Because I'm serious.
The pierogies were good, but they're just a lot of carbs.
They are. You're already eating a
whole basket of bread. I need to make that bread though.
I know you do. And I'm going to make the focaccia now. Suzanne, let us know the focaccia while we were there was roasted grapes, but it changes seasonally. And they said sometimes they do their roasted sour cherries in it, which is what I really wanted to try.
Yeah, I did. That was not my favorite one.
It wasn't his favorite, but it was probably my favorite, to be honest.
Because I don't like bread that has sweetness in it. Like for some
reason, it has a crusty salt, but also crusty sugar on the top of it, and it was so good.
Well, now I am getting hungry. Speaking of Vegas, did you see? So Adele started her concerts back up.
I saw her post.
And she did a post, and she did she had a dress with a pride train and all of that, and then the chandelier was colors and all of that kind of stuff too. And I saw when she posted that, it shocks me the number of people who post on things like this, like, oh, you lost me as a fan. I was like, you couldn't have been that big of a fan if you didn't know that she was already going to do something like this. You could not be that big of a fan if you did not realize that Adele is a fruit fly. That she, anyway.
Yeah, I love it also when people go, I wish celebrities would just sing and stop making things political.
Literally,
they're a person and they have a platform and they are an outlet for some people that can't speak for themselves.
And the songs, almost every song has a point of view.
Yeah, it's literally their job as they've chosen their job to be. I'm going to sing and talk about things that are important to me. So it just cracks me up when people say that.
I agree.
Well, Anheuser-Busch too is going through it with the whole Bud Light thing because they sent a 6-pack to the what's the name?
Delaney. Yeah. The can had Dylan's face on it, like it was personalized. But did they actually sell that can, or was that just like a promotional?
I think it was just I think they were sending PR packages to people and probably put their images on the can. And she posted about it. And freaking the rednecks across America lost their minds. Well, we're getting rid of Bud Light. Oh, well, guess what? You're going to get rid of your Jack Daniels whiskey. You're going to get rid of. They own so much. Anheuser-Busch owns so much.
I've worked on gay PR campaigns for Coors. Yeah. Like, here's the funny thing is, so Bud Light fell from the number 1 beer to number 2 now. Do you know what the number 1 beer is now?
Modelo.
Yes,
and they used to be for years apparently. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I saw someone post about it. So Modelo is a Mexican beer, but it's actually made in America.
Yep.
So it's actually a trans beer itself. It is it is an American beer who identifies as Mexican.
And they marketed it as a light beer that when they marketed it I think from day one to put the lime in it, right? It's a more of like a light lager. And that was their whole shtick. But I just can't imagine being pissed at a company. These people were drinking the beer anyway. Like, do you realize anyone who wants to grab a Bud Light can grab a Bud Light and drink it? Is it because you've now been made aware that Bud Light is what favored these people or sent them beer that makes you so pissed off? What, why do you care? Why does it matter?
And also so Cracker Barrel, they posted a pride post with one of their rocking chairs.
I'm shocked they did.
With rainbows. Well, here's the thing. So people are outraged. Oh my God. They succumbed to it also. They've done it for 3 years in a row.
Well, it shocks me because they've been known to be racist as hell. I'm shocked.
And anti-gay and all that kind of stuff. I think that's old ownership. I think there's in the last 10 or 15 years they have new ownership. But
It just sucks because companies have gotten to where they don't even want to put like the rainbow logos up for the month because of all the backlash.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, the other funny part is that all of them are now drinking Michelob Ultra. Exactly.
Miller Lite.
Well, Michelob Ultra is like pussy beer. Like it's like preppy
Diet beer.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I can remember when Todd was drinking Michelob Ultra and people were like, well, that's like pansy beer. That's like that's not real beer. You know, that's uppity like city folk beer.
Well, do you remember years ago Bud Light faced this backlash?
It's also Budweiser, also. P.S.
Yeah. Do you remember Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch faced this backlash years ago when everybody tried to ban Bud Light initially because I think they were the first beer to put a gay man or one gay man, either two or one or two, in one of their ads. And they did this 15 years ago when they did that. You know, like, oh my God.
And the ad was only in the gay magazines. It wasn't like on TV or anything. So.
And the part that cracks me up is that you feel personally hurt as if you have some ownership, like the whole "you've lost me" or "here we've lost another brand."
We've lost another one. That's the thing that I keep saying. Oh, we've lost another one.
Yeah, you don't have any clue what they're. Do you work in their marketing department? Do you know that brand story? What you know is what's been fed to you.
All of this on Facebook. You're saying all of this on Facebook. One of Facebook's two founders is a gay man.
Yeah.
And you're probably using your iPhone. You know who runs Apple? A gay man. Like
it kills me as if they have owner. It's like they got a list. Well, we lost another one. We lost. Yeah, I just want people to.
What it is their rage is being manipulated. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. I would love people to like go to these houses of these people and just start ticking off the things in their house that.
I've said this a million times. I don't boycott anything because I do not know enough about.
I know you've always been like, I don't boycott Chick-fil-A, and I'm always like that. Most of my gay friends still go, and I'm like, that's some damn fine, tasty chicken and French fries. I'm sorry.
Yes,
you got to do a whole lot more.
Yeah. Also, I don't know enough about what Chipotle does. I don't know enough about what Wendy's does. I don't know enough about what McDonald's does. I don't know enough about what Arby's does. Like. Yeah. Are my alternatives actually any better or any worse? Like I don't know. I don't do it.
Yeah, I don't know enough about. I'm always afraid to do that because people are gonna go put a mirror up and be like, "Well, look at these. Did you, And then I feel dumb. I'm like, oh, why, boycotted this.
But you feel dumb like we're calling people dumb right now. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty rare I take a hard stance. I'm trying to think of something I've taken a hard stance on before and just completely eliminated it from my life.
Sometimes I wonder if I have a personality flaw that I just don't have a strong opinion about most things like that. Like,
you know what it is? We are similar that we just don't give a shit enough. I care. Like, I'm going to care about you as a person, and I'm going to come to you and say, Cooper, does this? I'm always asking Cooper. I'm sending him stuff all the time. I'm like, thoughts? ? Yeah. If it's pissing him off, and it's like it's a personal attack on me because it's a personal attack on my friends, and they have a way about it, I will give it a think, and I'll be like, yeah, maybe I'll change my behavior. But honestly, I don't have enough give a shit. I just don't. My give a shit meter, especially these days, is real low. We're tapping out at like a hum of a microwave.
Monica says, I boycott restaurant where I see roaches because it's nasty.
Thank you. That's a legitimate reason. When all the stuff was going around about, I felt so bad with Chipotle. They were a client at that time when all the stuff was going around about the foodborne illness. But I also told people, I'm like, but you don't live in that area where that happened, right? You do understand how norovirus works. So I'm pretty sure your Dallas Chipotle down here is going to be just fine. It's not like they all banded together and was like, food safety, fuck it,
Exactly. That was just a bad manager or a bad supplier or something, right? Yeah. And Sandy is saying, I can't control all the things, so I just manage what I can. Exactly. That is the basis of the Serenity Prayer.
Thank you.
Know what?
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
And that was the churchy portion of today's episode.
Yeah. That was our we're covering all the things for.
Well, it was funny because on Sunday I went to church, and then on Monday I was talking about it, And so many people were like, "Oh Lord."
Literally, oh Lord.
Oh Lord, I know. So
Pam gives me a hard time because I'm very facetious and I'm very sacrilege, but
yeah,
she's always like, "Don't say that or don't do that," and I'm like, I grew up in church, like I
yes.
get it, but I'm like, I will make fun and
Those who question have the greatest faith. That is,
yeah.
I always
Thank
say.
you. I'm gonna say that to her. She's always like, "Stop it, lightning right here." She'll get up. I'm not sitting next to you, like she's joking, but
I know.
I'm like, but I grew up with it. I get it. I've been there, I've been through all the stuff, done the church camp. I'm older now and have an opinion. I'm not, and I always tell her, I'm like, I'm not slighting anybody who believes or anything. I'm not saying I don't believe. You believe, but I feel instant Jesus.
You heard the instant Jesus story, didn't you?
Oh no.
Monica and I, when we were in Stephenville for my niece's graduation, and Monica and I were going to go shopping to we were going to go shopping at like the Tarleton State swag store kind of thing. Yeah. And I didn't know where I was going. And Monica goes, "Turn right there where that sign says instant Jesus." I'm like, what fucking sign says instant Jesus? And I don't remember what it said. It was like instant access. It was like an ATM or something. And she was like, where it says instant Jesus. Next thing you know, we were just dying in the car.
Turn at the instant Jesus.
And then we started thinking about what would instant Jesus be and all that kind of stuff. Turns out it's a Chinese porn website, but the don't go to it. Don't go to it.
Don't go to it.
Either that or it's been hacked. I don't know if it's been hacked, but the instant Jesus. But we started thinking about all the different things that could apply to and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, instant Jesus.
Yeah, I'm always saying things like when she does stuff, I'll go, "Dear baby Jesus."
I'll say, "Dear black baby Jesus" on a moped.
On a moped. I used to love, what was the show with Tracy Ellis Ross?
Yes.
The mother would always go, "Oh, Black Jesus, we come to you." She cracked me up with all of her religious shit.
Well, there's on the Legend of Ricky Bobby. No, that's not it. Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
They have the whole thing where they're praying and they're like,
"Yeah,
dear baby Jesus," or yeah. Anyway,
that's my favorite thing. I'm like, baby Jesus.
I went to a totally different subject. Dallas has been suffering this ransomware attack for months now. It feels like maybe month. I don't know, but a while.
Oh, it's been since before Christmas, I think.
And no, that was Dallas County's property data.
No, that's what I thought you were talking about. Okay.
No, this is a new one that brought down like 911, 311. The court system was closed. The civil courts were closed for weeks, all that kind of stuff. They've gotten all of those mission critical systems back up, but the library was also affected. And I went to the library today because Mason has a specific book he has to read for the summer. And one of the ways that I always make sure he reads the book for the summer is that I read the same book over the summer. Oh,
really? Wow.
Yeah. So that I can question him on, "Oh, what did you think about this?" Or "What did you think?" Like that sort of thing. And they're usually, I'd say 7th, 8th grade is probably right on reading level for me. So or maybe not reading, interest level, some young adult books. Like I'm okay with that, And then so this one that he's reading now, it's called The Big Sleep, and it's by Chandler. I can't remember his first name, but Chandler. It's like a kind of Agatha Christie-ish. It's like a series where there's one detective through all of it and all that kind of stuff. And Angela's saying that's some good parenting right there.
I was going to say that's a good tip. Yeah. And Angela, I hope, by the way, you were on for all our discussion about pride and politics. Angela's like my ride or die person in Oklahoma that's just rides hard for that stuff, no matter how much she gets beat down. Anyway.
She and Boots and what's her name are the only ones in Oklahoma, right?
Exactly. Until Mark and I come to town and we're the same way. We're like
so I went to the library. So back on my story. So the Dallas Library is still unable to accept books. So if you've checked out a book since all of this happened, you are not allowed to bring it back to turn it back in. And because they can't receive the books, they don't know how to check. They don't have a system to check them back in. So I went to the library today to see if I could get this book. Because instead of paying $12 for it, the library down the block from me, I was like, if I can get it for 3 weeks for free, that's what I'm going to do, right? turns out I could get it. It's on sale today for 60 cents on Kindle. I was like, okay, done. But and then I can read it on my phone or whatever. I don't read on my iPad because there's too many distractions on there. But I have a Kindle and sometimes on my phone. But anyway, so I go in there. This library, the Oak Cliff Dallas Public Library, looks like it is having a going out of business sale. There are racks. They have somehow see my little book set. Oh, you can't see it right now because like the 4 books on the shelf right there. That was like a full shelf for them. Like there was, and they were doing the wrong thing. Instead of condensing all of them, like maybe closing down a section of the library and condensing all of them, they were just shelves had like 4 or 6 books on it, and then the next shelf had 4 or 6. So everything looked empty. It was bonkersville.
Is this because people have all the books checked out?
Yes, that's what she said. That's what I was like, y'all have this book? Because I asked her to look it up. She's like, I'll see if I can see if we have that book or have ever had that book. She's like, the systems are kind of messed up right now, and I can't tell you when something's going to be returned because we don't know when books are going to start coming back. So I know.
So I guess because it's summertime and all these kids have checked out books, right?
I guess. I don't know. I think a lot of people use the library and just I don't realize it.
Well, that makes me realize. So I use the Libby app for doing audiobooks. Yeah. And you do too. And it runs on you have to put a library card number in there. And I was racing to finish a book because you only get them for 21 days. And when there's a wait list, you can't extend.
Yes, exactly.
So I was racing to finish American Dirt, which, by the way, is a great book about immigrants and migrants. It's a really eye-opening book. It's tough. It's a long one. It takes a while to get through. It's tough, but it's good. American Dirt. But I turned it back in a day early, and then I went back to pick up Spare again because I'd started Spare on my drive to Oklahoma like 3 weeks ago. And it let me have it right away. And I was like, oh, there was like a 3-month wait list for Spare.
I wonder if that's
why. I wonder if also the digital is affected.
This book probably because this book that I wanted, I went to the Libby app first to see if I could get it, and it's an old book, and it's not even. I'd never heard of it until this thing, and now I kind of think I want to read the rest of the series if I like this first one, but still, it's on a like 12-week wait, 10 or 12-week wait. On the Libby app, and because I get why they only have licenses for a certain number of the editions. Because some people are like, it's digital. Why can't they just lease it out?
I know. I was confused by that too, but until someone explained it.
They pay a licensing fee for it, and so it's just like regular books. They have to buy the books, and so I get that. But I was like, why is this random book on a fucking 10-week wait? And it's probably this thing is probably we're probably 10 weeks into this thing is actually probably
let me see what my other books say, because I was able to check out Spare right away. It had 20 copies and only 2 of them were checked out, and I was like, how did that happen? Because it's been on my wait list for months.
I don't do audiobooks because I'm not in the car enough, but I do reading books. Sandy says a lot of senior citizens use the library. Yeah, and I think in my neighborhood's kind of a liberal neighborhood, and so I think our library gets used a lot too because people still want to like support the infrastructure, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Also, did you know? And I don't know if this started during COVID or if they're even still doing it, but when I went to get my library card, it was still like the end of 2021, I think, or maybe early 2022. You can actually, they were checking out the books and doing like a curbside thing where they would actually physically come put the books in your car.
Well, it's probably because of pandemic, probably because
but I don't know if they're still doing that. There was like lines where you could, but I was like, I didn't realize people were, I guess it makes sense. They're still checking out like stacks of books. So.
And books are fucking expensive. I mean, really, if you think about it, I mean, it's like $20 a book. And if you're a heavy reader, which I'm not. I mean, I'm so
slow. I'm so slow.
That's why I'm a 1 to 2 book a year person, maybe on a really, really, really literature rich year.
Yeah, I literally
crack a 2.
Yeah, audiobooks works for me, but it's like I got to where I don't have a commute anymore, so I listen in the morning while I put makeup on, and that's 15 minutes the most. And then I used to walk Frankie 3 or 4 times a day, and I used 20 minutes, 30 minutes at a time so I could get through a book. But now I'm like, and I don't take road trips, and I haven't lately, but on Oklahoma, I started.
Remember what they said in the last one.
Yeah. And then podcasts, I'm like, I don't have time to listen. I would literally have to just sit and listen to this shit. And I'm like, if I'm going to sit, I'm going to watch TV. I'm sorry. Because the thing is about an audiobook, I've learned this about, it goes back to the brain, the way your brain works. You remember me like during COVID finding out that not everybody has an inner voice. So I figured out it's those people that also don't like to read books because as they're reading it, they're not imagining the characters in their head.
Oh, really?
And they're not imagining the story. So a friend of mine, he's like that. He's like, books bore the crap out of me because I see nothing. But he's like, but I can listen to a book or a podcast and I'm formulating it. Some people can listen to music with words and podcasts while they work. I wish I was one of those people.
I can't do that. I cannot. I would end up writing a press release about the girl who killed her husband or whatever.
Well, I tune out the podcast and I'm writing and then I go, oh shit, what did I just miss? And I'm backing it up.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I wish some people can. Can you believe that? Some people can do work and burn through audiobooks and podcasts at the same time. I wish I could do that.
Angela reads 5 books a month, sometimes more.
Girl, she is a voracious reader. She is.
Do you know, I think that Nate Berkus reads something like 2 to 3 books a week. I'm like,
some people can speed read.
That's not me. I'm whatever the opposite of speed reading is. I'm the tortoise reader. I am and I'm not like dyslexic or anything. I just like read. I'm just not a fast reader. I'm like, to support the 2022-23 TKMS Humanities curriculum, you're required to read 2 books. One is, I mean, that's like, I've gotten like halfway through a sentence. I'm not a fast reader at all.
If you know, like some people, I've never done this either. Anybody raise hands and tell us what you are in the comments. But I have friends that are voracious readers. They also listen to podcasts at 1.5 to 2
I've seen
times.
I've heard that. I've heard people speeding it up to 1.5 times.
I can't do it. I've done 1.5 and I'm like, okay, but I like hearing the inflection because when you do an audiobook, that's why I like them so much more than books because you really feel like you're in it. I have to hear the inflection. If it sounds like a mouse rattling it off, I'm not going to enjoy that.
My other thing on books is if the book does not, like the books I have read and finished, I love. But if I'm not sucked in by chapter 3, it's like you lost me. Like if there's too much character development at the beginning, I'm like, nope, not interested. Like just throw me in, let me figure it out. That's why one of my favorite books of all time is Where the Crawdads Sing. And
it was a really good book.
And I could picture everything in it. I can picture what they looked like. I can picture all of the stuff. And that's why I like the movie so much because the movie was actually very true to the way I saw it in my brain.
Yeah.
And
but doesn't it blow your mind to know that there are people out there whose brain doesn't work that way and they can't do that?
I can't imagine that. Like that's just
I know.
Shocking.
Isn't that crazy? And for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, there were TikToks that came out during COVID and about people that do not have an inner voice. Some of you may not. Like some people go to bed at night and hear nothing but silence. And they go to sleep.
Oh, well,
they do not have things running in their mind. They do
sometimes. So
yeah, they don't.
I have songs in my head at all times.
Same. So do you have an earworm when you wake up to go pee in the middle of the night? I'll be singing a song in my head. I go back to sleep. I get up. It's still there.
Yes. Or I will sing it. Sometimes I'll be singing it. Like if it's a song, like I have to make sure that I change the song in my brain when I go to bed. Otherwise, I'm like singing an upbeat song. But like this morning, I woke up and I'm taking a shower and I'm singing Never Enough from The Greatest Showman. And, that's like one of those belters. I'm belting it. And I'm sure Todd's like, oh, God, it's one of those days.
Guys, there are people that don't have the devil, good devil, bad devil, that inner voice. Some people don't have that. That just blows my mind. But those people they can bet. I envy it because there's positive and negatives to both. Those people know what they want. They make a decision and they just do it. They don't hem and haw. I'll hem and haw all day long.
I'm not a hem and haw. I'm a pretty quick decision maker. And then once I make the decision, that's the path we're on. If we need to alter the path later at the next fork in the road, we can. But for the most part, I'm like, stick with it. That was the right choice for the moment, that kind of thing. But for me, like I don't like when I walk, I don't put in ear pods or anything. I walk 2 miles, 3 miles, whatever. I raw dog it. I'm just like walking and looking around. I like listening to what's going on.
I do too.
I will tell you honestly, more often than not, I'm like cold, cold heart, hardened by you. Like I've got a song in my head, and that is whatever the song is. That is the tempo of my walk.
Of what you're doing. That's
Well,
funny. Yeah, I used to.
If you ever get a notification from me and you're like, "Damn, Cooper, you were only walking at like a 17-minute mile, like, which is really slow for me." You're like, "Oh God, you must have been like, are you really ready for life?"
Yeah, you bossing it down the road.
Whereas if you see it and I've got like a 15-minute mile, which is fast. But also because I have long legs, I can go faster too. That's because I've got like some upbeat, like high tempo song going in my head.
Song in your heart.
And I sing. I even sing out loud sometimes.
You do? You're one of those people? Hilarious.
I'm not loud singing, but I'm like whatever the song is.
Well, I think like I walked the Katy Trail for 10 years before I started going to like group fitness classes. And I used to start out with music, but then I used to go so early in the morning, you got to where you knew the same people. Yeah. So I enjoyed interacting. So I didn't have a phone on me. I didn't even, can you imagine? I didn't even take a phone.
I don't take a phone.
Anything happened to me,
I have my watch. I have my watch, but it would just
I didn't even have a watch back then because it's been like five.
Isn't it crazy that we used to drive out of town alone without a phone because they didn't exist?
Yeah.
Like that's.
But I just wouldn't even take it on the trail because I just enjoyed the scenery and saying hi to people and saying hi to the dogs But now if I go, it's like I've got to get this podcast listened to.
By the way, I don't know why, but I was near the Katy Trail the other day. Why has no one clued me in on how hot everybody fucking is on the Katy Trail?
Hot.
Like I'm like, if it weren't so far, I'd be like, I need to be dirty old man walking down that Katy Trail.
Look, you don't even have to do that. Just join me at Katy Trail Ice House for some beverages and and watch these boys run by. Lord, they are fine.
Eric and I are having lunch on Friday at Toulouse, right there on the trail.
Oh yeah.
But it's too fucking hot. And how have we gone an hour and not talked about that? Like there's no patio seating for us because my hair is huge. See the curls? I have bone straight hair and I'm getting curls in my hair.
I know. Y'all, we're going on week 4 of like storms every day, or at least moisture in the air every day, making the humidity. God,
and actually, I think the weather said it's more to do with the dew point than the humidity or something like that.
The dew point is what makes the humidity so high.
Yeah, because we're so soggy right now.
Yeah, they're like, when you look out, it looks like air pollution. They said on the news the other night, that's not air pollution. That's just moisture sitting in the air.
It's like a cloud, basically. But
like above the city.
From my house, you can barely see downtown. Like it's like hazy.
It looks like air pollution, but it's not. It's moisture.
And all of our windows are sweaty. Like we can't see outside.
No, all the coolers when you go in the grocery, everything's sweaty. Have you noticed they're putting minimal items out in order to let the coolers? They're not stacking. When I went to Sam's the other day, it was like spaces between everything. Really? They didn't have it stacked full. Yeah.
When I was at the grocery store the other day, I came out and I'm like, everything is I can feel it's sticky. Like I feel sticky. Like everything is just gross.
It's just gross, and it's weird for us to feel like Houston. We're like, what the hell is this?
We didn't sign up. I had a meeting today. My meeting this morning at 9 was with a new client out of Kansas City, and they were here up in Plano. We had a meeting, and my first thing to them was like, I apologize for this disrespectful weather. Like this is not normal. This is not Texas. This is not Dallas at all. We may have one that's similar to this, but like this run and also this early in the summer, I'm
scared. I'm scared for what July and August hold, honestly, because we're already getting up to 103 and 105 in like 4 days.
We're leaving a week from tomorrow, and we have a house rented just south of Santa Barbara on the beach.
Oh, nice.
So we're going there for about almost 2 weeks.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, or a week and a half or so, and then we're flying out. We're flying cross country to Todd and Nina's parents' house in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah.
And it does get kind of like hot there, but it cools down at night. Nice. And it'll be nice. So, but we come back July 15th, I think, is when we come back. So it's
we'll be coming back to the taint.
It'll just be a time for us to be in the hot taint.
Right now, it just feels like we're that air sitting there. It's just like we're all under the underbelly of a hooker's boob. It just I
told Claire the other day.
Humidity.
I was drying because Claire said testing the last 2 days for her dyslexia diagnosis. She has to get it redone every 3 years. And we get there, we got back into the car, and I was like, I think I'm sweating under my left tit. She's like, you don't have tits. And I'm like, you don't say that word.
You're like, I got teats. Listen, Lume deodorant. That's all I got to say. Lume deodorant in the squeeze tube is life-changing.
No, I'm just like, I just run from air conditioned to air conditioned spot. So, anyway, well, that's all I have on my card for today. And we've hit an hour. So
look at us right on the hour. Look at that. 2 seconds. Whee! Well, it was awesome to be on. I don't even know the last time I was on.
I don't think anyone else remembers either.
I don't know. Anybody? February? I don't know. My birthday time? I don't know. No, we went to Adele. I was on after that.
Yes, you were on after that. And that was in
March or April, maybe. It's been a long time.
All righty. Well, with that, Mom is doing the kissy faces. With that, I'm going to say bye. I love you. It's important to know you were loved. I love that you watched this. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Don't should yourself to death. Nothing good. No good comes from should. And I will see you most likely tomorrow at 4:30 for another episode of Cooped Up Live.
Cooped Up. And don't sign up to be on any submarines. It's not worth it.
Yes. Don't do it. And I am invested enough in this story that I am reading about it and trying to vet what is real and what is not. So
I'm going to go watch CNN right now because we're in the final countdown. Because as of midnight, they run out of oxygen. So
I thought it was 7 a.m. or something.
Maybe earlier. Yeah, I know it's overnight at some point.
Okay. Alrighty, everyone. Bye.
Bye.